Good morning. Welcome to the program. You're watching This Morning. My name is Femi Akonde. Today we're looking at reforming local government and, of course, fiscal federalism in Nigeria. Well, this has been a hot topic of debate over the years. Anytime local government administration and, of course, fiscal federalism comes to the front burner, opinions are always divided on this topic. I have here with me to discuss this topic Wasiu Salami, a political affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Femi.
Yeah, and we also have Alhaji Razak Balogun and, of course, Jermaine Ayotunde Sanwo-Olu. They will be joining us in the course of the program. But we must see off with Wasiu Salami, a political affairs analyst. Fiscal federalism. This has been, I wouldn't say controversial, but a debate. It has been a subject of debate in the country, especially as it affects local government administration. Now, what's your own opinion on Nigeria's fiscal policy as we have it now and how it affects grassroots governance, local government administration?
Well, thank you very much, Femi. I think to start with, there's no doubt that it has been a controversial issue. Controversial in the sense that things have not been done appropriately the way it is supposed to be done. If you look at it as it is in Nigeria, there are three basic tiers of government: the federal, the states, and perhaps the local government. But unfortunately, the local government has been maybe the administrative tool of the state, in the sense that looking at the functions or the importance of local government, you will agree with me quite very well that it is the government that is the closest to the grassroots, to the people at the grassroots. But it's quite unfortunate that the way we have it in Nigeria, it is more or less that we don't have local governments at all. So it has become a controversial issue because each time there is need for us to actually revisit and revisit that aspect, maybe because of the selfish interest of many who have been benefiting from that the injustice that has been perpetrated against the local government. They seem that giving autonomy, fiscal federalism, true federalism, and so on and so forth to local government to the extent that the essence of governance will be felt by people at the grassroots. There are certain set of Nigerians who, for their own reasons best known to them, always kick against it. But in this situation, it ought not to be a controversial issue. But
let me take you back to something you said. Okay. You said it appears as if maybe the local governments are almost non-existent. Yeah. But some people will say, come, wait a minute, we conduct elections at the local government level where the people at the grassroots choose or elect people that will represent them at that third tier of government. Of course, we know it's not in all states that we have these local government election, and it's not been that periodic as it should be. But even in Lagos, just some months back, we had a local government election.
Exactly.
So for you to say it's non-existent, not...
You see, one of the beauty of democracy or the feature of democracy is that there must be a continuous election. Why you say there is democracy is because you know that, okay, maybe in Nigeria at every 4 years there is election. But you will agree with me that many of those so-called elections into local government are just being conducted just to fulfill all righteousness. One, you live in a particular community. In a particular community at a local government, you are expected to be represented by a councillor because your house falls within a ward. Sure. I'm very sure you won't be able to tell me the name of the councillor representing your ward. If you can't tell me the name of the councillor representing your ward, can you tell me the name of the chairman representing your local government? Now, the truth of the matter is, states where elections have been conducted into local governments today, they are done so mainly because they felt it is necessary for us to be known to people that elections are being conducted. The process, the essence of local government creation, the core functions that they need to be provided have already been taken over by most states have taken over the functions of local government. In essence, those elective officers who have been elected to govern at local government level, because of the fact that they know that they are just a tutelary bulldogs who can only bow without biting, they go there dance to the tune of the state executives, and perhaps at the end of the day, collect their salary and do whatever they want to do with it. I said elections or local governments are more or less non-existent. Yes, because if you look at the function they are meant to perform, tell me, out of the 774 local governments, maybe aside those ones that have been carved out with this Bakassi and what have you, the local government we have in Nigeria, tell me specifically, maybe the case in Lagos State might be a bit different, but I doubt if there's any local government in Nigeria that is actually performing the functions that constitutionally that is expected of it to perform. Now talk of maybe naming of streets, management of what's it called, parks and motor parks, market streets and what have you, numbering of streets and what have you. These are functions that some local governments are meant to be performing. But you find out today that many of these functions have been taken over by states. So if functions are meant to be performed by states have been taken over, functions meant by local government have been taken over by states, then what are local governments meant for? In a situation whereby elections are being conducted, many of the elections are not even elections, but rather selection. Of course, it is another form of filling vacancies. But notwithstanding, if you look at the importance of local government, these are people that are meant to be residing within the community. We wake up, we sleep with them, we know them. These are people that should feel our impact. But quite unfortunate, they are even the first individuals to us. That is the irony of it.
But is it the fault of the local government administrators now? Because some people would also say that, when money is shared from the federation account, the federal government takes its share, the state government takes their share, and then the local government, something is also set aside for the local government. So whose fault now is it? The local government also has something set aside for them, which I believe in some cases gets to them. How well have they been able to manage this? We also have some cases where some people would say that the state governments are the ones stifling local government administration by not even letting that money that trickles down from the federation account get to the local government level. Okay. So what kind of reform now should we be looking at, or how can this kind of issues be addressed to ensure that third tier of government is actually very effective?
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, there have been a lot of reforms, local government reforms in Nigeria. I think 1976 local government reform, the Babangida era, maybe 86, 87, 88, 89 or thereabout. And there are lots of reforms. But it is not the issue about reform that really matters. If recommendations are made, these suggestions are actually made, and perhaps none of those things are actually being implemented. Of course, recommendations cannot get themselves implemented. They are just written on a piece of papers and what have you. It is the implementation, the political way to actually allow those recommendations being implemented. I have just said it. I said it might be as a result of maybe personal interests of so-called the political gladiators who feel that, okay, by giving autonomy, by allowing local government to be effective as expected to be, they might probably be infringing or perhaps reducing their influence. If you look at it now, election is come 2019. If there's hardly any state in Nigeria that you have a state government controlled by a political party and you have the local government controlled by different political parties. Are you telling me that that particular party at the state level is so popular to the extent that people cannot have a varying view of a particular political party or candidate from another political party to represent them at the grassroots level? This is just to tell you that, okay, these issues are being carried out systematically in such a way that, okay, the local government now as it is in Nigeria is seen as the administrative tool of the state executive, to the extent that if I'm able to control the local government, I am sure of getting the state power. No state governor in Nigeria wants to cede any local government to any opposition. I belong to party A. I won't allow any party B to win any seat, even up to councillorship. So if issues like this are there, and you mentioned that, okay, reforms, yes, reforms are being, but the truth of the matter is, are they going to allow the reforms, the recommendations to actually be implemented as expected?
Okay, Wasi, we'll continue our conversation on local government and, of course, fiscal federalism right after this quick break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Well, we now have joining us Jermaine Ayotunde Sanwo-Olu. He runs an organization, an NGO called One New Nigeria Campaign. He's also the CEO, Diaspora PR. Welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, yeah, before you joined us, we're discussing fiscal federalism and, of course, local government administration, how it impacts on grassroots governance now. And you know, there's now this loud call out there for restructuring, reforms here and there, just a better way of doing things. Now, as it affects that local government administration, that third tier of administration, what kind of reforms do you say can be adopted, or what kind of system now can we adopt for a better and more effective local government administration?
Well, I believe what we have right now, federalism, the federal structure, is sufficient. It's just the implementation of that federal nature and in governance. We have to implement it better. True federalism in the United States, which we copy our own form of democracy and federalism for, they see a lot of powers given on the local government because they are the ones who actually implement grassroots change. They are the ones who connect with the people. They're the ones who feel the pain and the plight of the people. What you see happening in Nigeria is that everybody's running to the center to get help and to get endorsements and to get one kind of support or the other. But it is the reverse on the other way. I remember Donald Trump actually had to come down to the local government areas, to the mayors, to those people who are in charge to actually ensure that his voice was heard. So I believe a lot of reform has to be done. They have to be empowered. You understand? They don't have to be going to Abuja every month to collect some money. They should be empowered locally to get their own funds. I know in the United Kingdom where I live, we have something what we call like the council tax, whereby on a monthly basis you actually contribute to the government, you know, so that they can take care of your tax, your regular amenities, water, light, just to ensure that the roads are done well and everything is running intact. So if that kind of thing, just one example, council tax is introduced in Nigeria or on the local government level, and let's say they are paid 5,000 naira every month or something like that, imagine the impact when it comes to internally generated revenue, IGLs coming to the local government to be able to do roads, to be able to ensure that the amenity, security is actually in place. So just even that kind of simple reform in council taxation. I know we don't like the word taxation in this day and age of recession, but it's a way of saying less of, it's like a collective. It's like everybody bringing money together to ensure that the government will, especially accountability and transparency when it comes to the implementation of those funds that will be gotten.
Wasiu, now let me, I would like you to weigh in on this. He talked about empowering the local government. And one basic problem of the local government is revenue mobilization, and of course its effective utilization. It doesn't really, we know that there's some money coming from the federation account to the local government, but the local government also has its own ways of raising money, which they still do. Exactly, most local governments in the country do. Now the problem is effective utilization. Say something about that, because if they have not been able to maybe effectively utilize the little they have, how can we trust them with so much then?
Well, thank you very much. I think to start with, Section 7, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended gives the life and death, so to say, of local government into the hand of the state assemblies, the finance, the control, the structure, and whatever. There's no denial of the fact that, okay, there is a lot of misappropriation in local government. But if truly we want to be sincere with ourselves, you quite agree with me that it is a carbon copy of what is happening at the center, at state level, that they are actually replicating at local government level. So if the state executives, the commissioners, the governor himself, and the lawmakers, they actually do the functions, perform the function they are meant to, by virtue of that Section 7, Subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution. They can actually regulate the activities of the local government. It is quite unfortunate once again that, okay, maybe the anti-graft war has only been centered at the state and federal level. Nobody is more or less talking about what's actually going on at the grassroots level. And these local officials are taking advantage of this. Not necessarily the siphoning of money. There are a lot of abuses that are going on there. But because we don't really pay attention, and I think I will blame Nigerians more, we don't see local government as anything. When you hear the word local government, we think it is something even inferior. I think we need to educate ourselves more. When you talk about local, it is not the substandard form that we are talking about. It means local, something that is closer to you. No matter how developed a community is, it is still within a locality. It is the government that takes care of the people within that locality. It is the government that you can run to even in the middle of the night. That, oh, I have issue, I have this, I have that can listen to you. You can't go from here down to, I live very close to, I live in Ogun State. Before, if anything happens, my council chairman, my councillor, and so these are the people closer to me. I can't run down to Okemoson to quickly sort those problems. But because I may not be able to see them as anything, I feel they are not, and they've taken advantage of that. So I think one, they misappropriate money, no doubt about that, but they do that with the help of people at the state level. Because if they actually monitor them, there's hardly any state in Nigeria that there's no commissioner for local government affairs. What is the function of this particular person? Even though it is maybe it is an abysmal, he's not supposed to. He's not supposed to be the one directly in charge. Because if truly we want to say local government is a true a third tier of government, it shouldn't be under the control of what? A local government, a council, a commissioner, or even the governor itself. So I think to answer the question straight away, the state government, more importantly, the lawmakers, need to do more in the aspect of their own oversight function. There is a local government committee in the State House of Assembly. They should take it upon themselves, regulate, monitor the affairs of this individual. Perhaps if they see that, okay, there are monitoring team, maybe they will sit up.
Okay, Jermaine, now that brings us now to the issue of local government autonomy. You talked about empowering the local government, and he talked about now the state houses of assembly doing more to ensure that the local government is put on its toes. Now, can we have a system where maybe that umbilical cord of the local government attached to the state government is cut off and have them function independently and, of course, be held accountable to them, to the people at the grassroots?
Yes, it's possible to have a hybrid form of that, not necessarily being cut off, because there will always be a connection between those two arms of government. In terms of
over-reliance on the state
absolutely.
government.
You know, they said earlier that they shouldn't be reliant just on the state. They should be able to do a lot and be the ones even contributing to the state, saying this is what we have been able to generate within our locality and what we've been able to do. And the state will benefit from that. And the federal level is just to show leadership, basically, and they are the ones who are actually implementing what needs to be done on the ground. So I believe it's possible, and that's what we are clamoring for that newness, that one new Nigeria, whereby a new mentality is gotten when it comes to governance in this country, that we don't just look to the top, where we have top-down leadership. We want to see now from the bottom-up leadership, whereby people are able to they are empowered where they are to be able to take action that will be of benefit to the general good of the country, Nigeria. Because if Nigeria is going to develop, it's going to involve you and I. It's going to involve the man on the street, the woman frying yam by the corner. It's going to involve all those people working together, clamoring for change and changing themselves to implement greater development in our country. And that is what we actually need in Nigeria right now, a new way of doing these things.
Well, see, a new way of doing things, of course, at that local government level is also autonomy. Exactly. But why has it been difficult? Why has it been so difficult to achieve this autonomy? Because even when you talk to the council chairman, they never want to talk about it.
Well, I will identify maybe lack of innovation as one of the reasons. If you look at it, in spite of the fact that it is long overdue in a true federal system, that, okay, local government should be independent because of the enormous functions that they perform. You will still find out that, okay, many of them, like I've already said, are still against this thing. I think they prefer to, one, run down to the states every month, collect, so also the states, the way the state governors and what have you run to Abuja at the end of every month. But is that the way it's supposed to be? No. The simple thing is this. If we revisit the 1999 Constitution as the amendment is going on now. I don't think it is ideal to have really taken the life and death of local government into the hand of the state legislature. Because the truth of the matter is we have had cases that were I think at a particular time during Ogun State, former governor of Ogun State, Benga Daniel, there were local, I think in Jebu North local government, the chairman was suspended. We have cases like that the governor will make, oh, this particular person is disobeying my order, what have you, sack him, suspend him, blah. And I don't think the Mr. President, the House of Ila can do that to any governor, no power. But if these guys really want to perform the function they are meant to, one, we must ensure that the Constitution is thoroughly reviewed. I am not subjecting to the view that, okay, they should be controlled directly from Abuja because it is too far. The government at center is too far from what is happening at the state level, but I mean at the local level. But that notwithstanding, even if the state government will have some regulation or some control over the local government, it is not to the extent that they will determine the life and death in such a way that, okay, it is who I want to become I want him to become the state chairman or of a particular local government will do so. This is the amount of money that will go to your state account, or perhaps all I need to do is just to pay the state, the workers' salaries and leave whatever that is supposed to. I think our lawmakers should look at it, conduct public hearings to the extent that Nigerians hear their views on what they want, how effective they want local government to be.
Thank you very much. Well, we'll take a quick break again at this point, and when we return, our viewers can also call in to contribute to the program. And, well, call rates apply, and keep your conversations and your contributions short, simple, and in good taste. We'll be right back after this quick break. Welcome back. You're still watching This Morning. Our phone lines are now open. You can call to contribute. We're talking fiscal federalism and, of course, local government administration, how it impacts local government administration. Wasiu,
yeah.
Of course, fiscal federalism is like a division of governmental functions, what the federal government would do, what the state government should do, and what the local government should do. But some people say there's so much on the desk of the federal government. The federal government is doing so much that there's little for the state government to do and almost nothing for the local government to do. Now, how can these functions, these roles and responsibilities, how can they be equitably distributed between federal, state, and of course the local government?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think everything boils down to the Constitution. Presently, we have the exclusive list, the concurrent, and the residual.
But the Constitution, like you said, has already spelled these things out.
Exactly. Yeah. Wait a bit. In the exclusive list, these are the core functions. The core functions of the federal government are stated. Those that are meant to be performed by the federal and the states are in the concurrent. Then the residual are for the third tier of government. But if you look at it, it is as a result of the aberration that deliberately some individuals, some political gladiators, for their own selfish reasons, rendered local government useless. And by the time they render local government useless, they start them with resources, both the human and the capital resources, and as a result of that, took over the functions they are meant to perform away from them. By the time they took over, of course, there's hardly anything they can do outside the resources, the monetary aspect of it. But it is not all about spelling out those things in the Constitution. If you remember what I said earlier, I said we've done a lot of reforms. But the implementation of
these
many of those
reforms,
recommendations,
that is what the
that
problem
is where the issue is.
All right, we have Reverend Dominic from ALIMOSHO. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, well, fine, thank you. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, there's a delay on the network here, so let me go on and talk to you, so I will listen to myself. One argument I have not joined for some time now is this fiscal federalism and restructuring. The reason is this: it means many things to many people.
True.
But the question we must ask ourselves: what is wrong with the system we are running first? When we find out the reason why the first system is not running, now we provide a solution to the second one. Let me give an example. From Sokoto to Bayelsa, do you think local government elections have been fair? Let's use Lagos State where we live. I'm not a politician. I don't believe it's SPC or PDP. But the truth is this: do you think that people conduct a free and fair local government election in Lagos with the number of PDP members in Lagos? They cannot win one partnership, nor one local government chairman. The answer is yes, they can, but because there is no freedom. The problem here is not the structure. I've said before, the problem of Nigeria is the mentality, the mindset of Nigerians. We can see what is happening in America today. That it is a man that builds a structure, not the structure that builds a man. Trump has made the American system the way he wants to do it. It's not about America, it's about the man in the system. The problem of Nigeria, of local government, is the men and women that run this system. There is no genuinity, there's no love of this nation, you can't say anything like a man of Nigeria loves this nation to make it work well.
All right, thank you very much, Reverend Dominic. Thank you. Well, Reverend Dominic asked a question, or when he was contributing, he said we should ask what is wrong with the current system. That it's not about just calling for reforms, restructuring. We have a current form of local government that we operate. We have a current structure, operational structure. What is wrong with that structure?
Well, I believe there are many things wrong with it. But what Mr. Dominic said, the college right now, was quite interesting. He said, you know, it's not the structure. That what happens right now is the structure that is building the man, but it should be the reverse. It should be the man that is building the structure. And the major problem within the local government is capacity, intellectual and human resources to actually implement and also execute what the law actually says they are able to do. If you have someone in authority, someone who is leading the local government as a chairman, or the councillors know what they are doing and they are astute, I'm not saying they're not intellectually foul, but they are actually well endowed with knowledge of the law, you will see the way they will actually stand up for their right to be different. What we see, unfortunately, right now is that at the state level and at the federal level, we see the best of the best going for those positions. And we see the local government being relegated to like compensation to those people who do the groundwork and the campaigning. Some of the field marshals actually pushed for those state governors to get into. They now just reward them with local government.
I think that's a very important point he has raised there. Yeah. Well, we'll come back to that. We have a caller from IKEJA. Hello, good morning. George from IKEJA. Good morning, Mr. George. Very well.
Reverend Dominic has some of the things I wanted to say. But in a nutshell, I want to ask the gentleman on the right. The local government, the money that they receive from the federal government through the state government, in a joint account, I agree that it may not be sufficient or it may have been shortchanged. What do they do with it? Are they effective with the little that they have received? In the place I live, for example, we expect local governments to clean gutters. We expect local governments to fill potholes. We expect local government to ensure sanitation. None of these things are done. They don't even control traffic. So what do they really do? That should be the question. Question of sharing. I don't know why we are always emphasizing sharing. Nobody is talking about service. If the little that they are receiving, they are serving with it, we will feel the impact. Even if they double the money they give today, it will not make any difference. Femi, what I would like to draw attention to is this. The people, the federal government and the state government, there is no way you can take local government away from the structure of a state government as long as the territorial structure of local government is within a state.
Exactly.
That is where we need to make some changes. You can't make a local government to be answerable to the federal government when he is within a state. It's not practicable. That's just the issue. So the governor of a state, if I have my way, I would say states should create their own local government as they deem fit. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Wasiu, that question was for you. And let's not forget, he talked about the quality of people we have in the helms of affairs at the local government level.
Exactly.
I'll let you come back to that. But now, George from IKEJA asked a question.
Yeah, that is a very fantastic question. But another question is, who is actually aware, or are you fully aware of the specific amount of money? The fact that, okay, maybe the state sharing allocation committee or what have you, they call themselves, sit together and say, oh, so amount of money has been sent to or be shared between the 3 tiers of government, may not necessarily mean that that is the exact amount of money that has actually got to the local government. Don't forget the fact that, okay, even when such allocations for local government in a particular state get to the state level, they are not being shared evenly. As we know, they are not shared evenly among the states or the federation. So they consider the needs, the population, the economic viability, and so on and so forth. But the issue of whether what is given to me is what I actually received, and I kept quiet when I'm being cheated, boils down to the fact that the way I came into the office. If I know, like he rightly said, that, okay, I was actually being given the opportunity to serve by means of compensation, I may not be able to stand enough or to be fit enough to look straight into your eye and say, man, Mr. Man, you are actually the... I cited an instance in the Ijebu North local government. The man did so then. And you know what actually happened? He was fired, he was suspended, and from there, he never returned to the office.
We have OKOROAFOR from AROCHUKWU. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Femi. That's Comrade Master Patrick OKOROAFOR from AROCHUKWU in Abese. You see, the issue of local government problem we have in this country is that the local governments don't want to be independent. They are just dependent because they give them money. If they are independent of themselves, I think they don't have any problem because there is no local government in this country that doesn't have natural resources of their own. If they are to tap those things and develop it and enhance it and take it to the market and make their own money, they will not be going to every day the local government be begging the state government and the state government be begging the federal government. That is the major thing. Now, if it comes to local government, you ask yourself, when people complain, they will tell you to go and meet your councillor. When you go and meet the councillor, he says he's going to meet honorable in the house. From honorable in the house to honorable in the house of race. By the time they follow all these protocols, all these bureaucratic, you see nothing will happen. The best option for Nigeria for who to move forward is that each local government should try as much as possible, make use of what they have in their country. They can now collect a lot of government and art from the federal and make the government good. Because the masses, these are the people that are in the local government. They are not benefiting. They don't have anything to say. Now look at the primary school, which everybody knows very well. The primary school is based to the basic education to the local government. How many primary schools in this country will you go and see enough seats? How many primary schools will you go to see chairs for students of the for kids? How many primary schools you see that you see the children with good clothes? You see them with proper clothes, so leave the farm and run to the class. From class, they run back again. Is that what you are supposed to benefit from? This is not so. But the best is that let us go back to the basics. If you don't go back to the basics, that's the problem. But by son and now we're talking about 7 years of independence. Now look at how the local government are just dilly-dallying. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi, and the guests in the studio.
Thank you, Mazi Patrick OKOROAFOR from AROCHUKWU. Well, we'll take another quick break, and then we'll be back to continue with the last lap of the program. Welcome back to the program. Now, Jermaine, I would like you to throw more light on something you said earlier, where you talked about the quality of people at the local government level, of course, in the hands of affairs there, and even people running things at that third tier of government.
John Maxwell once said, everything rises and falls on leadership. The lead to your ability is your leadership ability. You know, what you can do depends on what you actually know to do. And that's what we see happening in the local government areas. In the UK where I'm based, you see the best of the best vying for those local councillor positions, the mayor positions, because they know that a lot of visibility and a lot of work will be done. They go to visit, they have a visit events, they actually always speaking with their MPs. They are the ones who are actually doing great things. And these people come with high degree of education. Education is very, very important if we're going to see transformation in our society. And let's ask ourselves, what are the educational qualifications for most of the people who lead our local governments? Okay, yes, you may say maybe the accountants, the HR, people there have some form of qualification. The local government chairmanship, what are their qualifications? What is the criteria for leadership, for you to be able to do? What courses should you have done? Is there any kind of training you should actually do before you become a local government chairman, or you just because you have the crowd support? This is a question we must ask. And you're only as good as your team when it comes to leadership. Yeah. Because you see, you may have, okay, one or two people in offices with desks, actually educated. Now, those people who are running about, you know, typing in letters, delivering letters, what innovation, what ideas are they bringing to the table when you're sitting on a table? Most of the people that are leading in those local governments are in their 50s and their 40s, and those running about without maybe school start holders or something, and they may be younger ones. But is there a disconnect between them and the community? We need responsive leadership right now in the local government. People who can see the problem and have the intellectual competence and prowess to also solve the problem. So I believe we're going to see one new Nigeria. We're going to see change and transformation in our nation. It has to start from the bottom up. We have to see the orientation in our minds, and we must have certain criteria for those leading. Talking about the problem about the country to restructuring it. If the Constitution says that you only have to have, is it school start or something, to even to run for presidency? You understand? How much more local government? You understand? So it has to change everything. We have to say that we want the best of the best leading at all levels of government.
In essence, you're saying it should be competence over electoral value.
Yes.
Okay, we have a caller from MAKURDI. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the program. What's your contribution?
Good morning. I'm really enjoying you people's program.
Thank you.
I'm a first-time caller
Welcome.
from MAKURDI.
Good.
Okay. Want to advocate, I want to contribute to the program. I'm advocating for local government autonomy. The reason being that while I was growing up, the local governments were functional more than what we are having today. You can also agree with me that if the way the local government autonomy, because most times if president is coming to any state, they inform the governor that they are coming. That is the same way it should be. When a governor wants to visit any local government chamber or local government area, they should also inform them. But what we see today is that local government chairmen are being appointed. The governor will be said, this person is going to be the local government chairman. This one is not from the grassroots. That person is not elected. And that is why you can see that when once the chairman maybe does something that maybe is getting the vote of the masses, the governor will not like it and say, okay, we are going to suspend this local government chairman. But if they give them autonomy, it will help them, because as I was growing up, like I said earlier, you see even the environmental health officer, you see them all around visiting homes to know that you are keeping your homes clean. Thank you. That's what I want to say.
All right. Thank you very much for your contribution. Wasiu, he was talking about competence in terms of choosing leaders, of course, at the local government level, because the people, the followers, are as good as their leaders. But it is the followers who choose these leaders. And the leaders are believed to have that electoral value. But he's saying it should be competence. Now, can we blur that line between competence and electoral value?
Yeah, thank you very much. They say water cannot rise above its level. People decide the kind of leader they get. Every leader is a product of a followership. I always say we have some competent leaders at local government levels. In fact, not only in Lagos State, there are some other states that are even far away from Lagos that we have graduates leading the local government, not as career workers, but as elected office holders. But I think what is actually happening there is this. The issue of the process that led to them coming to office, that brought them into power, must be revisited. It is seen as presently that, okay, local government elections or offices are a means of compensation. They use it to compensate individuals, that to the extent that no matter your level of competency, you are being, maybe perhaps being controlled by certain forces that you yourself might not even explain. Of course, we have, in my local government, the person leading my local government is a graduate, even with a master's degree. But I tell you, it may not reflect on the delivery. It may not. Because if you consider one, he has to struggle with the resources, which is not really at his own disposal, because there's a serious apathy between the people at the grassroots and the local government officials. There's hardly anybody that will come to you from a local government. I'm not talking about Lagos State, because there are to some extent there are presence of governance at grassroots level in local government. But in some other, especially in my own state, Ogun State, there are some areas that the only thing that we feel the presence of government for, maybe because we still remain under particular states and nothing has changed. Now, if it comes to the issue of numbering the houses and what have you, and you feel within yourself that you have never for one time felt the presence of government, even at the state level or at local government level, how can you now tell me that such an official from local government will come down to your domain and beginning to soliciting for your own support, and you will give it to him? It may not necessarily be that that person holding that particular office is not competent. Of course, if he's not competent, we have lawmakers. They also have lawmakers. At least in a particular local government, you have a minimum of 5 wards represented by each councillor. Then, if the chairman is not doing what is expected of him, they are meant, the legislative arm of the government, there at the local government, is meant to actually checkmate, legislate, and do things that can actually impact positively on the lives of Nigeria. But I think the manner through which many of those people at the local government level come into office is still very much questionable, to the extent that even when they have the good intention to do many things, they are hindered by either the availability of resources or perhaps of many of those debts they need to actually settle. Things that brought them into power, they need to settle some scores. And before you get to know, they will just, okay, within 2-3 years, let's do whatever we want to do and get out of power. Competency is very important, but not all of them are not competent. Education is very key. But at times when you have the best of professor of political science might be the worst politician.
Okay, we have another caller on the line. I believe that will be our last caller for today. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, morning. My name is, yes.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your contribution?
Yeah. My contribution is, you see, the problem of local government, I could look at it in 2 ways. One, that of the political problem, and the second one, maybe the local government themselves, they are lazy. If you look at it in the 60s, the local government were very, very powerful. And in fact, most of the services rendered to people are mostly by local government. But now, the fear is some state governors look at local government as if they are becoming too powerful because they are the constituents that make up the state. If you are at the state capital, you performing your duty as a governor, you must rely on the local government chairmen that are far away from you so that you can be able to succeed politically.
Yeah.
Now, if you are giving them much power for them to be able to execute projects, for them to be able to take some action, government action, you know, people will know them. They will not know you as a governor. They will always assume as if, no, this is our savior, not the state governor.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, we're out of time. Wasiu Salami, political affairs analyst, I must thank you very much for coming on the program. And Jermaine Ayotunde Sanwo-Olu, you're the leader of One New Nigeria campaign. And I hope you see a new Nigeria in your time.
Yes, we will.
Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thanks
well, that's all we can take on the program today. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Femi Akonde. Good morning.